What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Slow Restoration, and today we're gonna do some more upgrades to the 2024 Duramax here, and they're banks upgrades. So we have the pillar pod. It's going to go on there, and they actually give you everything you need to install this. So they give you a step drill bit, a longer bolt with a washer, and a Allen wrench. It's actually a wobble too. So reason we're putting this on is because we're doing a pedal monster kit and a Banks iDash kit. Obviously the iDash is going to go into that pod, so let's jump right into this. And we do need to remove this pillar from the truck, and to do that we have to remove these two little covers right here, and it has a bolt in behind, and then we can pop that pillar off. This is a Denali Ultimate, so it's got the suede pillar, and it's got the speaker there, also got an airbag in there. So before we do any of that, let's go under the hood, and we'll take a 10mm and disconnect both batteries. This is a Duramax diesel, so it does have two batteries. If your truck happens to be a gas, it may or may not, depending on the options, have one or two batteries. After that's disconnected, we can take a pry trim tool and very carefully pop this cover off. We'll see if we can get it from this side. It actually pivots a little bit, but I think we can gently go in. Yeah, there we go. Go in from this side and pop that off. It actually pops out pretty easy, and there's the bolt we need to remove. Appears to be a 10mm also, but we do have to remove the lower and the top cover to take both bolts out. Once they're removed, again 10mm, and we'll go ahead and remove both of those. We got that one broke loose. They're not super tight, so no big deal that it's now loose. So we gently pull kind of this direction, not straight back towards you, but kind of diagonally in towards the center of the truck. Give it a little wiggle, and it does pop out. You see a clip there, and we're going to be nice and careful not to damage that airbag that is right there. The next part of this is a little nerve-wracking, especially on this pillar being suede covered. I'll show you it once we get it off, what it looks like behind. But we're actually going to take and kind of tilt this towards the center of the truck, clear the airbag, and start gently moving it. If you look down inside there, you can actually see the clips that hold it into the dash. And we're gonna, again, kind of gently roll this, and it will pop out. This one again does have the speaker, so we'll have to unclip that speaker right there, and then we can get this pillar completely out of the truck. And with that out of the truck, you can see the clip there. There's a little safety and then a push tab to unplug that speaker. Unfortunately though, we do have to drill a hole. So that step drill bit, we're actually going to have to take that and enlarge this spot right here. So there is a tab there, and that's where this cover clipped into before. So again, this is the lower hole, but the pod will sit right in there, and the bolt will go in through the inside of it, and then the wires will go through this hole that we enlarged. You won't see that hole once that pod is on there, and I guess technically if you wanted to remove that pod and put it back to stock, you wouldn't have that little clip there, but it would still clip on right here. The step drill bit is marked here, so right here is the 16. So if you're only running one cable, you can do 16. If you have a lot of cables to go through, you can go to the next one, which is 18, but we're going to start with 16. We put some tape on there just so we know when we reach our correct spot. So we're going to go ahead and slowly drill through using that hole as a template, nice and slow. And I'm going to use two hands, and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. And that's how it's going to look when it's done. It just starts to touch the edges, so I don't really want to go any further than that. I think we can squeeze everything we need to on that hole. So Next step is to run the cable from the top to the bottom. So in order to do that, we have to unbox this, and this is the pedal monster box, and right inside there, remove before dealer visit. So they definitely want you to uninstall this before going to the dealership. I don't believe it leaves any marks or anything like that, water marks or any kind of sign once you removed it. So your warranty is still good, but why chance it? So just unplug this before you go to the dealer. Here's the pedal monster itself. I'll pull it out of the box here, and it's pretty simple. Here's the unit itself. Down inside here is cables to tie everything up, and then here's the cable itself that we're going to need. And of course, Banks hooks you up with some decals here, sticker decals. So this is one of our cables. Right there's the part number, and of course it's a Banks part. Now to run a pedal monster, you don't have to run that cable. Hooking up this cable is just when you have the Banks, pop this lid off, the iDash itself. So this hooks into that, and you can control your pedal monster through the system screen here. So unboxing this real quick, we have our gauge itself. We have this little backer if you need. Ours is going to be going into the pod, so we won't need that backer. I don't believe anyway. Here's the other cable, so we will need this cable. This is actually what goes down and plugs into the OBD2 port. So we'll need that one, and of course more zip ties and Banks emblems. So again, here's the cable for the iDash, and it's very simple. Plugs into your OBD2 port, which is right here. So that'll plug into there once we route it, and this actually just plugs into the back of the gauge itself, which is right there. To run those cables, we're actually going to pop this side panel off, and this panel, we got to pop this corner of this panel. This is actually where your fuse box is too, in case you didn't know. So you just kind of grab it here, pop this down. We don't have to pop it all the way off. We can pop it like right there, and then this panel here with these clips right here removed, they interlock there. So now we can pop this panel off, and that pops right off, nice and simple like. And now we have room to fish both of our wires up through, so that we can feed into that pod and then come down and feed into the pedal monster. The first one we're going to feed up is actually the pedal monster plug to connect it to the iDash, and it's universal on both ends, so both ends are the same, so it doesn't matter which way you run this. And GM gave us tons of room for activity here, so we're actually just going to put it right in here, push straight up, and as you can see, it pops right up through there. For right now, we'll just kind of drape that over and grab our other cable here. And now this one obviously is two different ends on it. So the big end goes in your OBD2 port, this end goes into your iDash, so this is the one that needs to come up through here. And we'll just kind of use the best routing we can here. If you peek inside there, right here is actually a square window, and your OBD plug fits right through that window, which is right behind your port. So we can twirl that around and plug that in extremely easily. I'm not going to plug it in yet, but it's going to go right there. And then this one will go into your pedal monster. Where is it? Right here in the end of that. So with those routed through there, we'll tie all this up later. We're actually going to go ahead and fish these two cables through our hole in the pillar that we just drilled, and we can actually reattach the pillar nice and carefully. Kind of common sense. You're going to put it in the bottom, lean it in, put it into the bottom, and then gently push everything back into place, making sure you don't pinch any of your cables. Don't forget to plug your speaker back in as you go. If you have the speaker in the pillar, keep out of the way. Don't pinch anything to do with the airbag here. And then when you're all done, it's literally going to pop back in. There's a metal clip at the top right there, and that will go kind of behind the airbag here is a slot, and that's where that clip's going to pop in. Once that's popped in, it's locked in place. Still going to be loose until you put your top screw in, and then the bottom screw is going to get replaced with that pod assembly. Once that's back up in there, again, our cables are pulled through right here. It's a little tight to get everything lined up down here, especially with this one. It's a little bit thicker than the just non-wrapped one. But once you get it in, you can just kind of pop it back into place. Again, being careful with that airbag, and then this weather stripping here actually covers the end of it. So if it pinches this weather stripping, you can kind of just grab it and curl it out and run your finger right through here to get it not to pinch. So we're back installed. We have our cables. We can go ahead reinstall that top one, and then we can put our pod on. You can run your wires right through, and then we're going to grab our iDash and plug these two plugs in, and then before we actually put the pod on, we're going to push these wires back in where they need to go. And then again, it's one bolt. I'm going to pull it out just so I can show you there. There is a recess inside there, counter bore, and Banks gives you this new bolt and this washer. Obviously that bolt's going to go through there. Let me stick it in here, and bolt's going to go through there. You can tighten it up with the supplied wrench they give you, and the washer goes right down inside that counter bore, and we can take that whole assembly and feed it through and tighten it up, lining up our outside here. But grab the iDash itself. It's very small. Doesn't look like a whole lot to it, but it's a pretty powerful piece. On the back here, no way you can get this wrong. So there's a 6-pin and a 4-pin. If you look at these plugs, there's a 4-pin, there's a 6-pin. Obviously, 4 goes in the 4, 6 goes in the 6. We have everything plugged in. Our bolt started. The pod's loose, but we're going to run this bolt in, and they gave you a wobble extension because you kind of, or wobble wrench here, because you kind of need it. You have to go in through the side here, and we'll tighten that up. Once we get close, we'll line everything up and just give it a good snug, and then we can push the gauge itself in. That's nice and tight. Everything lines up pretty decently. Pod is nice and snug. You retain your factory grab handle, and it does work with the Denali Ultimate with the extra trim and stuff on there. So let's go ahead and pop this top panel on. It just kind of pops right back on there, and then we'll get our gauge lined up here, and we'll grab the other end of this harness where it comes through here, and we can actually pull them down and pull this kind of right into place. Now, if you're worried about wiring and you don't like wiring, don't worry about it, because there is no real wiring except for routing some wires and plugging in. I mean, there's no connecting, splicing, soldering, nothing like that. Actually do the wiring, which is not really wiring, it's just plugging stuff in. We have our pedal monster here, 2 6-prong plugs. They're universal, so the one that came from the iDash is going to go into that, so we'll just plug that into there just like that. And like I said, it doesn't matter which one you plug into. Eventually, when they came out with the Derringer, I believe the Derringer will plug into this also, and that'll feed back to the iDash. But for right now, we're plugging that in, and I'm going to show you how it plugs in, and we'll tie and neaten all this wiring up after we get done. So plug that in. The other 2 ends are very, very self-explanatory too. So if we go under the dash, on the top, here's your accelerator pedal. On the top of that is a plug. Low safety, you push up on it, you squeeze in, and you pull the plug off. Right like that. The pedal monster cable has a male and a female end. So this is what we just pulled off of the accelerator pedal. That's going to go back on, and then we will push that lock tab down to lock everything into place. This is going to go into the factory truck harness. So it's just kind of a T in there, into the pedal on this end, into the harness on that end. we'll find a good spot to store all this. It does have some strap spots there. They give you some nice long ratchet straps, not ratchet straps, zip ties. So they give you a plenty of zip ties to do whatever you need. So we'll zip tie this up sort of kind of close under the dash where everything fits. Kind of use your own judgment as far as what you like. You don't want this rattling around down there, or, you know, hit your brake or your gas and catch your harness. So make it nice and neat. Coil everything up, zip tie it to something firm. Just watch what you zip tie it to, that it doesn't move. So obviously you don't want to zip tie it to your brake pedal here. Your wiring's done at that point. Well, actually, I don't think I showed plugging that OBD2 port in and making sure that's wrapped around nicely. I did use a bunch of zip ties. Always cut your tails off, make a nice clean job, make sure nothing rattles. Underneath, I put my pedal monster right here off this plastic heat duct. There's actually a nice little flat spot with some holes. It's nice and sturdy, and just zip tied everything up as clean as possible. So the only thing we have to do left is snap this side panel on, and then snap our cover on for the fuse box, hook the battery back up, and we'll power it up. That's how the finished product looks. Everything snapped back into place just as it should. Nice, clean, neat, clean. You can't really tell we did anything down there. And then inside we have the iDash connected. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Truck's running. iDash did something there. There it goes, booting up. iDash Super Gauge. Now we gotta go through and set everything up. This is gonna be unique to your own truck, so we'll let you take care of that. It's very customizable. Again, this is just the install video, so no if it looks like it's flickering, it's going to be the GoPro making it look like that. But install is complete. We'll set that up and I'll do a separate video. Now we actually have the iDash, the pedal monster installed, the cold air intake tubes, and the Monster Ram intake horn. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.